Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We focus on spirituality, Vedanta, and Sanatana Dharma. Please subscribe our channel for mystical meanings of the scriptures and daily satsang. Our humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, our worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj, all sages and scriptures, and to the divinity in each of you. We are currently exploring the scripture Mysticism of Mahabharata. Commentaries by Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda and narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently on the Stree Parva and we are studying Gandhari's reaction. Thus, one by one, the Pandavas made their peace with Gandhari, and then they went to speak with Kunti, their own mother. With great affection, Kunti welcomed the son she had not seen for 14 years and then burst into tears when Draupadi spoke to her about the slaughter of all her grandsons. By this time, the mourning party had reached the battlefield, and women from both sides, enemy and friends, saw the result of the dance of destruction that had been played out on this blood-stained stage. These women were not accustomed to such a gruesome sight, and soon the atmosphere resounded anew with their cries of despair. As the mourners walked across the battlefield and beheld the remains of their loved ones, they remembered how those people had looked and acted when they were alive and recalled all the expectations they had formed around them. With the death of those heroes, young and old, all those expectations were gone and life seemed horribly desolate. The grief experienced by the surviving relatives and the advice that is given by the wise to console them is the central theme of this chapter of the Mahabharata. Through Stree Parva, the scripture tries to show the transient nature of all human relationships and thereby to infuse vairagya or dispassion in the heart of the aspirant. Every individual is as if a hero in the Mahabharata war. When you are a child, certain relationships constitute your whole world. But as you grow up, things change. All the early dreams are driven away and new dreams take their place. As time continues to pass, you realize that the world process is a mysterious realm where everything is constantly changing and all your values are constantly being reshaped. Like the mourners surveying the Kurukshetra battlefield, many people ask themselves, what then is the use of all achievements in life? Why should people work to accomplish things or to help society when all life must end in tragedy? Why strive for any victory when all must enter into the vast ocean of oblivion and be forgotten? The Mahabharata confronts such pessimistic thoughts by teaching that the purpose of life is the attainment of self realization, which is not dependent upon external relationships or external circumstances. When all things of the world perish, the divine self is imperishable. Thus, our mind must turn away from the perishable objects and direct itself to that which is permanent or imperishable. When you hold the divine self foremost in the view, everything becomes purposeful. Even though relationships may change, even though the people for whom we work may not be there when our efforts bear fruit, the God within all relationships will be always there. All the people that appear in our life according to the needs of our spiritual evolution are nothing but manifestations of God, and therefore at every moment we are working for Him, not for the changing names and forms. Seen from a more stable mystic viewpoint, the grief of the woman is symbolic of the changes that occur within the human mind during the course of spiritual evolution and at the time of enlightenment. The male heroes of both warring factions represent negative and positive impressions in the unconscious samskaras, as well as the subtle desires, which are the vasanas, and thought waves, which are vrittis, that arise from these impressions. The women who love, serve, and support these heroes represent the feeling aspect of human personality, which is profoundly intertwined with one's thoughts at all times. As one progresses on the spiritual path, the negative samskaras, vasanas, and vrittis are gradually destroyed by positive ones, just as the Kaurava heroes were destroyed by the Pandavas. After one attains enlightenment, even the positive vrittis must subside after their purpose has been fulfilled. As you recall, the night massacre in the Pandava camp symbolizes this destruction of positive vrittis, which were no longer needed by the mind. The Pandava brothers alone remained, symbols of prarabdha karma that has not yet completely run its course of positive vrittis that can exist without obscuring the vision of the self. When the thought waves subside in a state that the Raja Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Maharshi refers to as Chitta Vritti Nirodha, the mind of an enlightened sage flows steadily and spontaneously to the self at all times. This Godward flow of mind, referred to as Brahmakara Vritti, continues no matter what the sage may be doing. At this stage, normal human sentiments have been left behind, so to speak, like the women on the battlefield who are grieving because they are no longer needed. Thus, the Mahabharata illustrates in a most unique manner the great limitation that exists in human feelings and sentiments. All the sentiments that seem so important in our relationships with our loved ones can take us only so far in our spiritual evolution. Then those feelings must be integrated to flow towards God, who is the underlying reality behind all relations. We may at first grieve when we realize that the need to love and be loved can never be really fulfilled by worldly love. However, when the fullness of divine love floods one's heart, that grief is spontaneously driven away forever. We will continue the satsang tomorrow and we will be studying Gandhari's curse. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.